Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Carly, pretty creative little feature you guys have going there with the Western wear. I'm not sure if we want to see that much of Aaron Struck.
Oh, you never know. Struck never fails to disappoint. Soccer players have their cleats. You can't be a hockey player without a stick, and cowboys wouldn't be cowboys without their jeans. So Aaron Struck, once again, out there doing the dirty work for us.
Well, I wish I could say we're looking forward to that. But Shauna, what are we looking forward to in the weather forecast?
A very nice day that we saw, and a beautiful evening on the way. So let's take a look now in Lloydminster. We're sitting at 20 degrees with mostly sunny skies and very similar across the Lakeland and Battleford. So with all this sunshine, how long is it going to continue? I'll have your full weather forecast coming up a little later on.
The Canadian Armed Forces has a long and rich history, and today the federal government has restored a little bit of Canada's past. As Clayton Brown explains, the 3 levels of service which fall under the Canadian Forces have been renamed to their previous designations.
That our naval, land, and air forces will have their historic names revived. They will once again be known as the Royal Canadian Navy, the Canadian Army, and the Royal Canadian Air Force.
It's been 43 years since the Royal Canadian Navy, the Canadian Army, and the Royal Canadian Air Force have been recognized as such. But now those titles will be again in common use with the Canadian Forces.
We're not turning the clock back in terms of who we report to or any of that kind of stuff. This is simply a symbolic change to reconnect today's Air Force with our history, and the same, of course, with the Navy and the Army.
We will keep the developed traditions over the years of Air Command and integrate everything into the new RCAF. So in a sense, this will be a newer, better RCAF with a link to the traditions.
It was February 1st, 1968, when the 3 levels were renamed as Maritime Command, Land Force Command, and Air Command. Jerry Morrison remembers that day. In fact, he's come full circle. He was at 4-Wing Cold Lake in 1968, and he's glad to be back to see a piece of history restored.
Well, I see it an opportunity to rejoin history and with today's Air Force and honor the traditions of the Royal Canadian Air Force, pass them on to today's Air Force, and keep it all together.
Comes as no surprise, veterans are very pleased with this announcement, but they aren't the only ones. Some current members also believe the government has made the right decision.
I'm ecstatic that the government's decided to do this now. It just brings a lot of pride to a current member serving.
More smaller changes, such as badges, wings, and maybe uniforms, will slowly be made. At 4-Wing Cold Lake, Clayton Brown, UCAP News.
Bears continue to be sighted near the town of Bonnyville. One was recently spotted in the backyard of a home in the rural MD, a few miles northwest of the town. RCMP are warning people about bears becoming more aggressive as they search for food before the winter months, and ask that care should be taken to ensure food products and other waste materials are disposed of properly. The province of Saskatchewan is seeing a jump in its manufacturing numbers. According to a recent release, provincial sales for June increased almost 10 times the national rate. As Jessica Isaac explains, the provincial prosperity is extending all the way to the border city.
Fisher Building Systems manufactures metal and wood structures for the oil field, and according to management, business is booming.
For the last 3 years, this is the busiest we've been. Right now, we're working nonstop. Guys are working the weekends, overtime, just to keep up with the orders that we've got coming in.
Summer is typically a peak season for the manufacturing industry, but one province is recording particularly high numbers. According to Stats Canada, Saskatchewan led the country in manufacturing sales during the month of June.
I think it means that a lot of good things are probably happening in Saskatchewan, that our industry is confident in investing back in the province, and it means that people that are working in those industries are very busy and doing very well for themselves.
Hollington says while the increase is good, there are some negatives, like finding enough staff to meet the demand.
You're always looking for guys that have experience, if you can find it, or people that are willing to learn. And we've got a good crew working right now, and we're always looking for more people.
Lloydminster is able to benefit from a boom on either side of the border, which puts local companies like Fisher Building Systems in a good spot.
We're in the business of supplying these shacks, and we'll do what we can to corner our market of the business, I guess. Yep.
And the growth is a trend the province hopes will continue.
it's very positive for Saskatchewan, but it bodes very well, or says a lot about the kind of people that are in those businesses that have chosen to set up their businesses in Saskatchewan, and see the optimism that I think is catching on across the province.
Jessica Isaac, Newcap News.